Siwezi kuona haya hata kama mimi ni mtumishi wa serikali. Niseme tu ukweli vile huko. Wakati mheshimiwa rais wetu ameungana na mheshimiwa Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga kufanya handshake na kuleta amani, tumekaa kwa amani. Kweli ama uongo? Tumeshirikiana kwa maendeleo. Kweli ama uongo? Huyu county commissioner wenu hapa, huyu amesimama hapa, huyu Josephine huko, is the only one county commissioner out of the 48 of them. Wale 47 wa counties na yule tuko naye kwa ofisi ya RC Nairobi. 48 of them, huyu ndio county commissioner peke yake anafanya kazi kwa county yake. Na mjue historia hiyo ilitokana wapi. Wakati tulianza hii mambo ya port hapa Kisumu, mheshimiwa rais wetu alisimama hapo, alikuwa na Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Wamesimama hapo. Sunday tulikuwa hapo usiku kwa tukipita hapo msitu tukiepa nyoka. Huyu alikuwa siku hiyo alikuwa sub county deputy county commissioner. Mheshimiwa rais akaamua hii project ya port lazima ifanywe na imalizike vizuri. Akaamuru huyu akiwa deputy county commissioner apewe hiyo kazi ya kuoversee hiyo port itengenezwe. Port imetengenezwa ama haijatengenezwa? Wakati ilikamilika, mheshimiwa rais yeye mwenyewe akainsist huyu apandishwe madaraka awe county commissioner. Kazi imefanyika ama haijafanyika? Lavu niambie sasa, nisikuja hapa nisiseme maneno eti nione haya eti mwambie CS Matiangi hawachane asizungumze maneno hiyo ya Raila na handshake kwendeni. Lazima tufahamu vile mambo iko. Let's be very honest. We stop this hypocrisy and pretense here. Tunajifanya hapa eti there are things that we can talk about and there are things we cannot talk about. Sisi tukiwa Nyanza hapa we are one na tumekuwa pamoja siku zote. We are one people. Ama namna gani? Kwetu ni hapa juu. Ndipo tumeongea pia na tuliongea vizuri sana. Tumekubaliana sisi wote. Na mzee wetu Prime Minister Raila Odinga ndio anatuongoza. Na tumekubaliana safari hii sisi watu wa Nyanza tutasimama pamoja kama mtu mmoja. Na tutasimama sisi wote pamoja. Sasa nikisema hivyo nimefanya makosa? Na mimi sichakuuliza wewe ruhusa, unipee ruhusa mimi nisimame pamoja na Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Sichakuuliza kwa ruhusa, unipee ruhusa nisimame na mheshimiwa rais. Mheshimiwa rais is my boss. Yeye amenipea kazi nifanye, akiamuru vile tunaenda. It is logical mimi nikiwa waziri wake wa usalama, mimi napiga laini mahali rais amepiga laini ama namna gani? Hapana. Tufanye kazi. There is a way in which a country is led. Tusisikize hii maneno watu mambo mdomo tu kila siku huku kelele kusunguka, hakuna kazi. Walikuwa wapi wakati tulikuwa hapa? Sasa watu wanaanza kujifanya hapa. Mimi nimemletea ile, nikamletea ile ingine. Ile port ilikuwa huko, wale watu niliona wakati ile port ilianza kujengwa walikuwa mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta na mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. Tukiwa pale kuamuru tuanze kazi. Na hiyo port imetengeneza ikakuwa. Sasa watu wameanza ni msunguko tu. Mtu karibu sasa waanze kusema unajua mimi hata hawa watoto wenu mimi ndio nimewazalia. Ai. Wakenya tunaelewa hii maneno vile iko. Tuache porocho, tufanye kazi ile tumepewa tufanye. Hatuache propaganda. Wananchi tumekubaliana? Basi tukaa pamoja vile viongozi wetu wanatuelekeza. Na tuweke amani. Wakati huu ni wakati wa kuweka amani. Na wakati wa uchaguzi ukifika, mheshimiwa Buyu, mimi nataka kukuhakikishia sisi tutasimama imara kama idara ya usalama. We have mapped the country, the areas where we have challenges like Marsabit, Pandei ya North Rift, kule Laikipia. Sote we are consulting and we are looking for long-term solutions, and some of them are going to be stiff, lakini mwishowe we have to walk that journey if that is how we are going to keep our country peaceful. Hiyo ndio kazi yetu, kuhakikisha kwamba kuna usalama wa kutosha, na wakati wa kampeni ukifika kila mtu atafute kura. We chose democracy in our constitution. We are a democratic country. Sisi kama serikali hatutaingilia mtu yeyote, na nimesema kila mara, you don't need our permission to campaign. Hiyo wakati ulipita. You are free as a Kenyan citizen to go wherever you want to go and campaign. Talk to Kenyans, provided usiwasumbue. Ukiwasumbua tutaingia. Yeah, provided uweke amani. Na yule ambaye anatafuta kiti, awe mama, awe mwanaume, awe kijana, ana uhuru ambao umetolewa na katiba kutafuta kiti na kulindwa na serikali yake. Kwa hivyo akina mama wale ambao mnataka kuwania viti mbalimbali, mjue hivi serikali iko imara, na mheshimiwa Buyu tuko tayari kusimama na akina mama wetu. Mtu asiogope eti mtu atakuja kuleta kupanga sijui unaleta kutoka wapi. Ukileta utatukuta na sisi tunakungojea. Kila mtu awe na uhuru wa kufanya kampeni, kwa sababu hii ni nchi ya kidemokrasia na tuheshimiane. Bora tu usisumbue wananchi. You don't need the government's permission to go anywhere. Actually, you need the government to ensure that you go everywhere you want to go, to sell your policies, to do everything. Provided sasa ni ile maneno ya ukora hapa, watu wanasema nimesema hivi nione haya. I am a Kenyan citizen, a voter, a taxpayer in this country, a proud Kenyan who's grateful to God for creating me and putting me here. Kama mambo ya ukweli imefanyika, tuseme ni ya ukweli na imefanyika na tumeona ikifanyika. Na tukisema hivyo hatuchafunja sheria.
Well, I've just received information very late now that police have surrounded the home of former Minister for Internal Security, Mr. Matiangi. And I was shocked to hear that this is happening at this hour of the day. They say that the more things change, the more they remain the same. We are now witnessing what this country has been through before. The times of late night arrests and detentions of people without any formal charges. This is what actually appears to be coming back to our country. Because if Mr. Matiangi had committed a crime, he is a Kenyan and he lives in Kenya. There is time to go and actually serve him with a notice to appear before a police station. There's no reason why police should be coming to somebody's private residence at this time of the day when people are asleep. This means that police themselves are actually guilty of committing a crime. If Matiangi has committed a crime that warrants his arrest, actually that should be made public and known to him. And then he can even go and present himself to the police officer and for interrogation and record a statement. But this idea of arresting senior citizens at this hour of the night is something that is completely repugnant to civilization.
It's unacceptable.
This is completely unacceptable in our society. But I have said, and I will repeat it in a day, we are dealing with an illegal regime, a regime that usurps power against the will of the people of Kenya, imposed on the people of Kenya by one rogue Mr. Wafula Chebukati. And that's why we are seeing what's happening here today. But the people of Kenya will not take this lying down. The people of Kenya must resist imposition of a legal regime on them, which now want to use the power of the police to terrorize this country. It is completely unacceptable. It will not be accepted, and we will not allow it to happen, not only to Mr. Matiangi, but to anybody else. So we are here. We will stand with Mr. Matiangi and anybody else to ensure that the law of this country is respected.
And we are driven by data. You know, we are intelligence-led in the decisions we make. There's something in the security sector we call a threat profile. Threat profile is when we wake up in the morning, and most of these gentlemen who are standing before you here, we start interactions from as early as sometimes 4 a.m. in the morning, or 3, or sometimes depending on what the night has thrown to us. We are awake all night. We look at what are the major threats we are facing as a country, and we start working on them. And we have a threat profile where you look at, you know, Al-Shabaab is now giving us problems, blah blah, they're targeting this, they're doing this, and so on. Then you go all the way from number 1 to whatever number, as it were. Your deployment and your focus, or if you're going to follow somebody, it is because you believe that in that threat profile they rank very high. I've said this before when I was called to Parliament one time. Some of those individuals who are saying that the police are after them or they are threatening them, in the threat profile between number 1 and 500, they are not there. which means there are people, even a cockroach cannot spend time thinking about, because you see, they are of no threat to anybody. They're doing their job as politicians. They are talking, even what wanaongea. And then talking is not a threat, because you see, that is what they are paid to do. Because if you are a politician, your practice in kuongea, which means as you talk around, even a lizard passing around is not worried about you. So why should Imbowa deploy police officers after you? You are not a threat to anybody. In fact, if anything, you're only a threat to yourself. You're not a threat to anyone. That's why I don't understand who those people are who are claiming that their lives are in danger. But anyway, the truth of the matter, and many of them, sorry about that. I hope we will finish before another plane. So those who are making those claims, some of these sympathy seeking or sympathy craving, publicity stunts about my life is in danger and so on, police are after me, and these gentlemen have better things to do. And as I told you, if they have to go to look at somebody, they look at the threat profile. Where do you feature? If between number 1 and 600 you don't feature, why would a senior police officer spend time on you, honestly, and deploy police to look after you? You are not a threat to anybody. You are not a threat to you are not a threat to anybody. If anything, you are a threat to yourself. So why would we now say you put police officers behind you and so on? So people keep making all these silly claims around. But anyway, anytime anybody has come up and said, I have a problem, and genuinely there is a problem, the Inspector General has always deployed. In fact, even this morning I was meeting some observers who are asking me, there are political leaders who are saying they need more security. Anyone who has walked up to the Inspector General Police or any of his structures and requested for additional security will get it. And let me repeat it here again today. Wherever you are, Mr. So-and-so, Madam So-and-so, wherever you are, if you feel that you actually need more protection and more security, please walk straight to the police station next to you, talk to the OCS there and report the matter, or look for your sub-county police commander or your county commander, whoever you will meet. We will give you security that you need. It is your right. We will not be doing you a favor. It is your right, and it's our duty to make sure that you are safe. But these other claims that people are making, as I told you, when you look at the threat profile and you discover the person who's claiming that, his life is in danger and we have deployed police vehicles to follow him around, you discover it's somebody who, as I've told you, even a cockroach will not bother to think about for a second time.
Hapa naitwa Boni kutoka RUTO. Ningependa kujua shughuli ya upelelezi ya wale majamaa walishikwa kule Eldoret, kama unasambaza vikaratasi vya uoga imefikia wapi? Alafu nyingine kusema kwamba serikali ifanye mambo kwa giza, lakini kwangu hivi ni kuna giza pale. Kuna wale majamaa wa Venezuela walishikwa, alafu ajeka akaongea na waandishi wa habari akasema kwamba shughuli imesuluhishwa na mambo yamekuwa sawa sawa. So sijui ili suluhisho vipi? Napenda kujua. Alafu la mwisho kuna DPP nyumba yake imevuja vya asubuhi, na inasemekana kwamba ni kwa sababu alikuwa ametoa alikuwa ameelekeza kwamba Junet na kina Joe wachunguzwa kwa ile video ya naibu wa rais. Sijui ni hali ya kuonea mavipi?
Unajua sasa, now that is where we part ways, because security matters. You cannot subject them to propaganda, and gossip and all those kinds of things. First of all, as a rule of thumb, I tell you, my brothers and sisters, you know this for a fact. You also want a responsible minister of interior in your country. When investigations are going on, as a rule of thumb, and our DCI is here, we have agreed in the security sector, we don't run sideline commentaries when investigations are going on, because then we interfere with the work of the officers who are doing the investigations. The matter of the leaflets, some investigations are going on. We've already taken some people to court, and we are continuing to look for more information so that we get to the very bottom of the matter. But the process of punishment has begun. We will present the information we have, and our officers will present the information they have, and then the courts will decide who is right and who is wrong. And I don't want to comment more about that. On the matter of the Venezuelans, these are two independent institutions. You forget one thing: the Office of the Inspector General of Police under the law is an independent office, and the IEBC is an independent institution. The two institutions come together and look at an issue like the one of the consultants or people who have been hired to do the work they are doing. In their wisdom, they take a decision, and all the issues involved have been explained and sorted out. And they agree that we have now explained all the gray areas on this matter. We are on the same page. Let us move forward. And they decide responsibly, I believe as responsible people, that let us not engage in press commentaries that are going to affect the conduct of the general elections. Why would we want to go back to them again and tell them, okay, so what happened? How many cups of tea did you take during that meeting? Who said what and so on? Let's trust our Inspector General Police. Let's trust Mr. Jebukati, the chairman of the IEBC, on the decision they took on that matter. I am satisfied myself when I was briefed by the decisions of the Inspector General of Police, and we are fine. And then he has briefed us on the conversations he had with the IEBC on the matter. We are satisfied completely with how they resolved the matter, and we believe that is the responsible way of managing these affairs. Let us proceed now to another matter. On the issue of the house of the DPP, again, it applies to what I told you earlier. I don't want to make sideline comments now when a matter as sensitive as that has happened. Now, you already have jumped to conclusions before investigations are done. Now, my brother, if we go that way, we will hurt ourselves. Let us always be focused. When something has happened, we have competent officers, we have competent teams. They come up, they investigate the matter, wanachunguza, wanatafuta ukweli mahali huko. Kama kuna ushahidi wa kutosha, mambo fulani yamefanyika, wahusika wanapatikana, alafu wanapelekwa kotini. Tunataka kufuata sheria na tunataka kuishi kisheria vile tunatakiwa kuishi. Sawa?
One last question perhaps. Bwana Waziri, I'm Bruhan Makom from Petrol. You're on record telling chiefs that they must follow the direction that the president has given, and you've also been publicly campaigning for Odinga. Don't you think, as a high-ranking official, don't you think this amounts to pressuring officials to pick a side?
No, I will explain, and those are two different issues, and thank you for asking me the question. Number one, and I repeat it again, in a society of our kind, and all societies around the world, leadership is organized in the manner in which our leadership is organized. Can you imagine a case where the president says one thing and the minister says another and the inspector general says another? We don't want chaos in our society. In the security sector, when it comes to policy and implementation of government policy, we queue behind the president. That's what I've told chiefs. If the president says 100% transition from primary to secondary, and I want every child in school, how can you not do it in your location when you are a chief and the president has said that? If the president has committed himself, even at the UN, on goals that we must meet on this FGM thing, how can you tell me as a chief that you're not going to go around the villages to fight FGM? Because that is what the president has said, and that is what national government has committed itself to. So this is what we must do, and I will repeat it again. Now and any time in my life, even when I am not Minister for Interior, I would wish that the next Minister of Interior also lives that way. Organizes the national government infrastructure to queue behind the president and national policy. That is how we manage the country. Because imagine a case where the president says we are going to work with the Minister of Education to fight examination cheating. Then tomorrow the chiefs say no, as we are not going to do that kind of thing. What kind of country are you going to have? So that is what I meant when I tell chiefs, and I tell them even to this day, on national policy, and when the president takes a decision on the matter and the president spells out a position, I am the first to queue behind my president, and I'm followed by my colleagues. That is how it is going to be, and that is how it should be, for us to have an orderly environment. On the question of elections and campaigns, let's stop pretending about one thing. Even the judges of the High Court, the judges of the Court of Appeal, and the judges of the Supreme Court will vote. But the matters on which they are voting, some of them may come before them. There is a clear line between my inclination and my responsibility, my obligation and my inclination. All of us here, the way we are seated here, even my colleagues here, I don't know, some of them are Muslims, they go to the mosque on Friday, others are Catholics, they go to church on Sunday, others are Anglicans, they go to church on Sunday, others like me are Seventh-day Adventists, they go to church on Saturday. But when we come to work, we have our obligations. I will not wear the lenses of my religious inclination. I will not wear the lenses of my faith. I will, if you come before me, I will not ask you where you belong to and where you come from. I am not supposed to do that under the law. I have an obligation. I have a legal obligation. So there must be a line drawn between legal obligations and personal inclinations. To pretend here that people do not have any, even our officers, police officers will vote. They have inclinations, they may have preferences, but they know that when they wake up in the morning and they are wearing kofia, kiraoni, now on a beba bunduki, they are going to work, they are going there to serve every Kenyan. And they will not ask every Kenyan, where did you vote? No, no, no. That's you're not allowed to do. So let us agree on this particular matter. There's a very clear line between obligations and inclinations. And there's nothing wrong with people having, inclinations. That's why we are a democracy. That people have opinions, they have preferences, and no one forces anyone to. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to I don't have to agree with you. But I can express myself and say, as far as I'm concerned, I think this is the way we should go. That's my opinion. Even in the offices where we work, we have different opinions sometimes on issues. But we don't sack people because they have expressed differences of opinion, because we understand the line between obligations and inclinations. And this is what people oftentimes confuse and so on. The Constitution says the President will appoint cabinet ministers who are technocrats. It doesn't say the President will appoint robots. Switch on and switch off robots to the cabinet. In any case, by the way, some of the politicians who are hypocritically parroting that around the country are the same ones who keep saying perhaps we should have ministers who are elected members of parliament who sit in parliament. So what is what? Because these contradictions sometimes are interesting. Let's be very plain and very clear. I will not lie to you. I have inclinations and I have preferences, but I'll also be very sincere with you. I will deliver on my constitutional obligations without fear or favor. And when it comes to that, I will remove my inclinations and serve every Kenyan as I'm supposed to serve. And I've done that before. And everyone else who's serious has done that before. But let's stop these excuses, saying, oh, you have expressed preferences and so on. We express preferences all the time. That's why you are dressed in jeans and I'm dressed in suits. I mean, that's a different way of looking at things. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.